Well, Joe, it's good to see you back at Crabble. You got a game under your belt against Whitehawk. How happy are you to be back?
Yeah, I'm really pleased to be back. It was just a case of getting out and getting some minutes. An opportunity come up for me to go and play. Obviously, after my injury, I come back and I wasn't getting as much minutes as what I would hope for. But yeah, it was a really good time that I enjoyed out there. But to come back and be back at Dover is exciting because it's your parent club. It's where you want to be. It's where I want to be playing. So that's the reason I signed in the summer. So I'm really pleased to be back, and hopefully we can get some more points on the board and keep climbing the table.
Yeah, I mean, of course, when you went to Whitehawk, Dover were, of course, top of the table, and Whitehawk were in a relegation fight. So, two contrasting situations.
Yeah, yeah, it was different, but the aim is the same thing. It's just to get 3 points and climb the league. It was different at Dover. Confidence was high, and the boys were buzzing. Whereas going to Whitehawk, it was obviously a different end of the table. But the old manager was back, and they started having some positive results. So I went in there and we got I think the first four games were wins. I think we had a draw in there, and then we had a couple of losses towards the back end of the month when I was on coming back. But yeah, it was really good. It was really good. So it was similar to Dover, but it was again, as you say, just different ends of the table, but same aim was the 3 points.
Now, it was a shame, really, that you got that injury because, of course, you'd established yourself in the team since obviously joining the club in the summer. The team was doing well. You picked up that injury and, obviously lost your spot. And of course, that was a shame, wasn't it? Just tell us a little bit about the injury and how frustrating it was for you at the time.
Yeah, it was an ideal timing. It was the Folkestone game. I think we had Folkestone away. We beat them 1-0 that one, so that was a good one to play in that. But yeah, we in the first half I clashed feet, cleared the ball, and I just had a little clash on the top of my foot. Didn't think anything of it, and adrenaline just sort of pushed me through. So I carried on playing the whole game, and then the next day it was really sore. I was struggling to walk on it, struggling to put weight on it. So I said to Will, I'm going to go and get a scan and just have it looked at just to make sure because it was an ankle that I've had problems with in the past. So I went in and got the scan, and they come back and they thought it might be a little avulsion fracture, which is basically the impact of it. A little bit of bone can pull off and get stuck in the ligament. It turns out if it was a tiny little bit, which I was buzzing about, to be fair, because it meant I would only have 2 or 3 weeks out instead of I was fearing the worst and looking at 6 to 8 weeks. But luckily, it wasn't as bad as what I first thought, and then a little bit of rest and some work in the gym, and it was all right. But then obviously coming back, it was a bit frustrating because I couldn't get back in. But when the boys are performing the way they were, like you have to wait your turn basically, so you can't expect to jump straight back in when you're winning every week. So credit to the boys because they was putting in some unbelievable performances to keep me out.
Now, of course, when you decided to go and get minutes and go on loan, obviously Dover were top of the table. You come back and it's a very different situation. What's the sort of, I mean, have you noticed any difference in terms of the dressing room? I mean, is it a little bit more tense than it was before? Because obviously we were flying when you left.
I wouldn't say it's more tense. I think it is slightly different. There's still banter flying about. There's still the boys are still enjoying it. And one thing I would say about my time at Dover, it's when we train properly, and it's the intensity and the boys put in the effort so much and work so hard that sometimes I actually think that maybe they want it too much. Where you could probably see on the pitch when we're not getting results, it's not for a case of not trying. Everybody wants it a lot, and everybody's willing to put in the work. That's management, that's players. Everybody's there and is sort of standing up to be counted, and that's what you want when you're in a patch like this. And I do think that it would change because the way that we're working and the way that the boys are getting down. But I wouldn't say the atmosphere's changed, but I would say a couple of things like maybe when we go a goal down. I've only been back for a game, so if we go a goal down, maybe it's more of a panic, like we need to get a goal back. Whereas before it was we was confident we was going to score goals and we was gonna come back and win the game anyway. So I would just say that, but I don't think we're in a moment where we need to panic. I think it's about just staying calm and keep working hard, and I think the performances and the results will improve.
Yeah, of course, because we are still the top scorers in the league, I believe. We've certainly got the best goal difference still. And the forward players were scoring for fun. Obviously, those goals have dried up a little bit. It's just a case of trying to get that momentum going again. How can we do that, do you think?
As I said, I think through hard work, I think you can create your own luck in football. Sometimes I think when things aren't going right, if as long as you're putting in the graft and you're putting in the work, things will turn. And I think when they turn, that's when you have to stay on top and the momentum and the confidence grows. I had a conversation the other day. One of the Sunday league teams that I do a little bit of work with, that I coach, they lost the first 6 games. And I said to him, like, football is a funny old game, and when it turns, and it's a train. It's when you're losing, everything goes against you. You don't get the rub of the green. You're not as lucky as what you are when you're winning. You get that one win under your belt, and I think it steamrolls, and you just carry on, and then them things that weren't going in go in, and the clearances that are hitting people and landing at feet, and we're conceding. They don't happen. And I think it's a confidence thing. But when you're winning, it's easy to keep winning. But when you're losing, it's about the best teams get out of that losing streak the quickest, basically. So it's just about knuckling down and trying to change that as soon as possible.
Of course, there's a lot of emphasis on the fact that this is a young group, a very young squad. Does that come into it as well? And of course, you're one of the experienced heads in there, and it's important that obviously the likes of you have been here, been there, and done it. Can guide the lads through this difficult spell.
Yeah. I do think it's obviously a young group, and I think that's half of my role. To be fair, being back is to try and just calm everybody down and look, get your head back on it, get your mind back on it, and just do what we're good at. Don't get caught up in listening to other things or what other people are telling you. What we was doing at the start of the season was working. So let's just stay calm and get back to that. So yeah, I think my experience and Mitch and a few of the other boys, to be fair, although they're young, they've played a lot of games. So I think the experience is there, but yeah, maybe because it's a young group overall that um, maybe we could get a little bit more from that um, in terms of age. But again, in terms of games played, I think we're still up there. So experience, we might have enough, hopefully.
It was interesting actually, the Whitehall game. Jake managed to get you, Luca, and Jacob all into the same team. Just tell us a little bit about that. Obviously, a little bit different in terms of roles, certainly for Luca.
Yeah, so Luca pushed into midfield, and to be fair, he's comfortable on the ball. He's a really good ball player, so I think that's what Jake was thinking. He can play in there. He can do a job in there. Um, I know, obviously, a few of the boys there, the White were quite direct, so I think it was about going with height and getting somebody in there. Luca will win the headers with Ponty and win the clearances because I think Rob O'Toole for Whitehawk was their number 10. And he's good in the air and he wins the flick-ons and the players, their boys, run off of that. So Jake knew that, so I think that's why he went with 3 centre-backs there with Ponty as well, just for that little bit of height so that we could come through and win the ball.
Now you got Canvey Island this weekend, a trip to Essex. What are your thoughts going into that one? I mean, of course, it's important to just get a positive result on the board, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a big game. It is a big game because I think they're struggling a little bit with their form, the same as us. So it's one of them. I think if we turn up and we work hard like we have been, hopefully it's the time for the results to start changing and we can push on from there. And again, as I said, if we get that win under our belt, hopefully that steamrolls into another few good results, and then we can start climbing the table again. But yeah, it's a really important game for us. So we want to go there and try and pick up our form.
And of course, at the moment, the club are still in the playoff spots, and there's an opportunity to stay there, isn't there? I mean, why not stay in the playoffs and let's see what happens at the end of the season?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's the aim. Can we stay in there? Can we keep get putting in good performances, keep working hard, and stay in the top five? I mean, there's obviously some really good teams in the league. It's not an easy league at all, but I think we've got more than enough in the changing room to stay there, and more than enough quality. We just need to get that turn in results as quickly as possible.
And can I just ask you, obviously the Chatham game was called off because of the waterlogged pitch, obviously a lot of rain that day, which meant that the game couldn't go ahead. Was that break welcome or not? As footballers, you obviously just want to play, don't you? Especially after a defeat, you want to get that one out of the system. But in some ways, has the rest been good for the lads?
It might. I speak for myself. I wanted to play because I feel like when you don't get a positive result the week before, that next thing is right. You need to get back out there and get that 3 points. But obviously, we had the Welling game Tuesday on the Tuesday as well, where a lot of the boys got minutes there as well. So it could do us a favour. It could get in that break, having that little rest period for some of the players that have been playing week in week out. It could be really important and hopefully recharge the batteries and we can be fresh and ready to go this weekend against Canvey.
Now, of course, Joe, all footballers at this level, well, 99.9% of them have jobs away from playing. But you actually are still involved in football, aren't you? You're in the lucky position that you still work in football even when you're not playing football.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm a UEFA B licensed coach. I work for a company called Advanced Player Development, which is sort of my way. We do similar to what Mike does with the Dover Academy, which is the post 16 football. So for the boys that are just leaving school, giving them an opportunity to come in and train full time with a games program. And then I work for Chelsea a couple of evenings a week as well, doing some of the pre-academy with the young boys, sixes to nines that we coach there. So, yeah, I'm still involved in football. I love football, so it's just trying to give back a little bit of information that I might be able to help some of the young players with.
I have to ask you, what's that like coaching youngsters at that age? Because of course they're still very, very little at that age, and
Yeah.
and being involved obviously with a huge club like Chelsea.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good. Some of the talent that's coming up from through the stages is unbelievable. When you look at some of these 7 year olds can do with a football, it's incredible. But again, it just comes from hard work from them. That age, it's not all about being in academy football. It's not all about getting that contract. At that age, it's just about enjoying it. And I try and I think like Mike, I really enjoy Mike's sessions. I try and make every session fun and enjoyable because I feel like the players can learn a lot more that way. But yeah, some of the players have some real talent. So look forward to seeing them come through, hopefully.
Because of course at that age it's not about results, is it? But it's about development. But of course you do want to sort of get that competitiveness into them as well. So how do you strike that balance? Because it is a balance, isn't it? You don't want them to not understand about winning, because winning is a good habit even from that age. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you don't overbear them.
No, that's it. At Chelsea, they're actually really good at that. They've got a winning mentality there at the club, and it's the whole way through the academy. It's about not only obviously having fun, but they do want to try and introduce winning as early as possible. Not making it the be all and end all. If you lose a game, don't want people getting off in tears, but it is about being aggressive and trying to get that winning mentality. Being Chelsea Football Club, they're a top academy, so they want to install that from early, and that's a massive part of player development. But again, at that age, 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s, touches on the ball is a little bit more important at the moment.
And just from a personal point of view, obviously this is your first season with Dover. How have you enjoyed it so far?
I've loved it. I've loved it. I've loved every minute of it. Some really, really good, I would say, memories. Some highs. Definitely some lows as well. But I think of the likes of the Folkestone away game. That was really really good. I loved that game. I loved playing there, and the fans made it an incredible atmosphere to play in front of. But yeah, there's been plenty of highs, but there's plenty of lows, and I'm sure there'll be more highs and more lows to come throughout the season as well. But I've loved playing at Crabble, and I've really really enjoyed my time so far. So hopefully, long may it continue till the end.
Just and just finally, how are you finding your rapport with the fans?
Yeah, no, I've spoke to a lot of the fans in the bar afterwards, and they all seem to be really helpful in terms of giving information off the pitch and helping people and trying to push you on. And I think the boys enjoy it as well. It's all about that rapport with the fans and going in there and having a chat with them afterwards because they pay their money and they're entitled to their opinion. And sometimes it's good to speak to them and listen to that and get some advice from them because they've been there, they've been watching Dover for a long time. So it's important that they stay in touch with the players as well.
But obviously, the last couple of months now, crucial, isn't it, that everyone's unified?
Yeah, it's the business end of the season now, isn't it? So it's about just getting them results, and if the fans can stay with us through the tough periods, I'm sure we'll be able to repay them and hopefully have more highs than lows coming into the end of the season.